For the given PDF of random variable y, determine the standard deviation of y. All right, well, let's get copying this PDF over into our notepad because we've got a fair bit of work. Okay, so 0, 2, and 3, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, 0, 2, 3, 1 quarter, 1 quarter, 1 half. Okay, now how do we get the standard deviation? Well, the standard deviation is the square root of the variance. Right? So if we figure out the variance, we just take the square root. All right, well, how do we figure out the variance? Well, there's a couple ways. Okay. Let's figure out the variance by using the formula, the expected value of, we'll create a new random variable, y minus the mean, the expected value of y, squared. Okay, now to use this, we'll need to figure out mu, which is the expected value of y, and then create a new random variable from there. So first things first, let's figure out the expected value of y. We know how to do that with a PDF. 0 times a quarter is 0. 2 times a quarter is 2 quarters, or 1 half. And then we get 3 halves. And the expected value of y, we just add these up. 0 plus a half plus 3 halves. And we get 2. Okay? So in this case, for our formula, mu is 2. All right. So we'll go back to our PDF again. We are going to create a new random variable. Okay. Y minus mu, which in this case is 2 squared. So what values could this be? Well, y minus mu, in this case mu is 2, so we'll just leave it like that, squared. So 0 minus 2 squared, that's negative 2 squared, that's 4. 2 minus 2 squared is 0 squared, that's just 0. And 3 minus 2 squared is 1 squared, it's just 1. So this new random variable is 0 with a probability of 1 quarter, then it's 1 with a probability of 1 half, and finally it's 4 with a probability of 1 quarter. So we can create a new PDF for this new random variable. It's 0, 1, or 4. 1 quarter, 1 half, 1 quarter. Just double check before we move on. It's always a good idea to stop and double check that you've copied your numbers right, you've done your calculations correctly. Okay. Now the variance of y is the expected value of this new random variable that we have created. But we've got a PDF, we know how to make expected values. Just multiply each possible outcome by its probability. So 0 times a quarter is still 0. 1 times a half, 1 half. And 4 times a quarter, 4 quarters is 1. So we add these up, 0 plus a half plus 1. So the variance is 3 halves. That's fantastic. But the variance is just a stepping stone to get to our standard deviation. Standard deviation is square root of the variance. So square root of 3 halves, you could leave it like that. If you really want to, you could write root 3 over root 2. And depending on your educational background, you may have been trained to rationalize the denominator. So you could write something like this, or even combine it like this. Root 6 over 2 is a good answer. Personally, I would probably just leave it as the square root of 3 over 2 until I knew what else I might need to do with it, because it clearly shows me the variance, still in there, 3 over 2, in case I need it for something. But our standard deviation, sigma of y, is square root of 3 halves.